Hi guys, this is Heidi with Kiddos Corral, and today I'm going to show you guys how I make my homemade chocolate pudding. Now, I know it may seem so much easier to go buy a box pudding and be done with it, but ever since I started making my own pudding, my kids won't even touch what is in the box unless I have a specific recipe that calls for that. So I wanted to quickly go over the ingredients and show you guys how I'm going to make a Halloween treat for my kids using this pudding. Now, you have several options of what you would like to do with this pudding mixture. One option is once you get all the pudding combined and done, you can pour it into a baked pie shell, or you can pour it into a graham cracker crust. Or you can just put it in individual bowls, or leave it in a big bowl and put it in the refrigerator, and it needs to be refrigerated at least a couple hours to allow it to set and be nice and chilled. Personally, between you and me, I like to eat it when it's just a little bit warm. That's when I like to eat it. But I'm going to show you guys what the ingredients are, and then I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to use this to make a Halloween treat for my kids. So, we're obviously going to need some sugar because it's got to be sweet, right? I've got some egg yolks here, the 3 in total. You're going to need some milk, 2 cups. Now, I prefer to use a whole milk, but as you can see, I'm using a 2%. Either one will come out, but for that extra richness, a good whole organic milk does make the difference. You're going to need a pinch of salt, because when they're sweet, there's a little bit of salt, and that's what allows us to taste the sweetness so well, is salt. Cornstarch. Cocoa powder. Make sure you use a good quality cocoa powder. I'm using a Hershey brand, as well as a vanilla extract. And that is it. You're going to need a whisk and a saucepan. And I'm going to get my little clear bowls out, and let's get this pudding put together, shall we? Okay, let's get this started. So you want to make sure that you have a heavy saucepan. And technically, I'm just going to use a wooden spoon because I don't want to mess up my Teflon. These are brand new pans, so either way, it just needs to be able to stir it well as it cooks. Okay, so for this recipe, I add all of the ingredients into the saucepan, and I put it on medium heat and bring it up to a gradual boil. Once it comes to a boil, it will thicken quickly, so then you want to make sure it's good and combined and take it off the heat immediately. So let's get started. We're going to put in our milk. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and add in my salt, just a pinch. I'm going to add in my 3 egg yolks. Now you need to make sure that your egg yolks are good and broke up in this recipe. So I'm going to go ahead and stir those well in with the milk. And I'm going to slosh and make a mess like I always do. Okay, then I'm going to add in my 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And if you know anything about me, I don't measure anything. Not really. Okay, we're going to put in our cocoa powder. I'm going to stir it a little bit to get it started. Once it gets warmed up, it'll melt all together and it'll become a really pretty consistency. Now I'm going to add in my sugar. And it's 1.5 cups of sugar. There we go. And then once we get this good and combined, I'm going to go ahead and start putting this on medium heat. Once we get the chocolate and all of this combined, then we will pour in our cornstarch. And our cornstarch is what will thicken this pudding up. Now, to make our Halloween treat, and it's funny because one of my kids came in yesterday, handed me a bag of gummy worms and some Oreos and said to me, "You know what to do with this." So, I'm going to tell you guys, I don't know if my kids are the only ones that's this way, but my kids are grown. My youngest is 16. So with that said, you know, a couple years ago I thought my kids have really outgrown some things. So this Christmas I don't have to buy them pajamas and candy and hot chocolate for Christmas Eve, so I wasn't going to do it. And one of the kids found out that I wasn't going to do it. They got mad. They want to keep tradition. So I kept tradition. And they got the pajamas. And I think that this dessert is the same way. We are going to have this for Halloween, whether or not, you know, we want to or not. Or I want to, I should say. But that's okay, because you know what? It's delicious for all of us. It's really good. Okay, you can see how all that cornstarch is coming, or all that cocoa powder, excuse me, is coming together. And you see how it's all melted down? Now, you're going to have to act fast with this cornstarch and get it whisked in here or spoon stirred very good, because you don't want cornstarch lumps. So you want to stay with this, and you want to make sure that you stir it good. And once this comes up to a boil, it'll thicken very, very quickly. It'll only take a couple minutes for it to get, you know, to where the consistency is right for the dessert. This smells so good right now. Don't you wish you guys could smell this chocolate? So I'm stirring away here, and I will be back once this comes up to a boil, and I will show you guys what it looks like. Okay, I had to pull this off the heat, and as you can see how thick it's gotten. It came up to a nice quick boil, and then I turned the heat right off from underneath of it, because as you're stirring, you're going to be able to tell when this starts getting thick. See how thick it is? It's pudding consistency. You just want to make sure you keep stirring, get some of that heat out of there so it doesn't burn on the bottom. So once I get this all mixed, I'm going to get my little glass dishes out that I just purchased, which I'm excited to use, and I'm going to put this pudding into those dishes. I'm going to let it chill for a little while in the fridge, and then I'm going to turn it into a Halloween treat for the boys. So now I'm going to ladle out my pudding into my cups. It's okay if it's not perfect. I can wipe that off, or you can just leave it, because we're actually going to top this pudding once it chills with something really good. So I'm just going to put in even amounts of chocolate. I've got 5 cups here. I think you only see in 4 in the viewfinder here. But we want to get even amounts of the pudding mixture in the cups. I'm trying to maneuver my saucepan around. Yum. Oh, that looks good. I could just eat that just as is, but you know me, I've got to make this a little extra special. So I'm going to put this in the refrigerator, let it cool, and I'll be back to show you what I'm going to do to it. Okay guys, my pudding is completely set, and now I'm going to show you guys how I make these into a Halloween treat. Now keep in mind, once again, you can make this a pudding pie, or you can just make it pudding. And this is just something that my kids really enjoy, so I thought I would share with you guys how I do it. Now in this bag I've got some crushed Oreos. I did about a dozen crushed Oreos, I think will be enough. And let me grab one more ingredient. And I'm also using some gummy worms. Now my kids like to refer to this as worms in dirt. I used to make this for them all the time when they were growing up, and they really, really like it. So, can't get out of a good thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in some Oreo, which is going to act as our dirt. And you can fill these up as far as you like. And I just put the cookies into a Ziploc bag and hit it a few times with my rolling pin, because I think a food processor processes it too much. And they have a tendency to get mushy the longer they set with the pudding. So I wouldn't dress your pudding until you're about to eat. And if you got to do it a little bit ahead of time, I would make sure that I would cover each dessert with some plastic wrap, just to ensure that, you know, that the gummy worms won't get all hard in the refrigerator. So I'm putting the remainder of my cookies in because I want to use them all. There we go. And now it's time to put in the gummy worms. I kind of like to play with them a little bit and let them kind of be, you know, where they stick out of the top to make it look like they're trying to get loose. These gummy worms smell good. I put about 3 or 4 in each cup. So you really don't need that big of a bag of gummy worms. And if you wanted to, if you're going to serve it right away, you could put the gummy worms underneath maybe a layer of the cookies to kind of give like there's some hiding down in there. And there we go. There is my Halloween treat. I hope y'all enjoyed this recipe. Let me know if you guys tried to make my chocolate pudding and how you use it. And I hope this finds you all doing well. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please do so. And give this video a thumbs up. Have a great Sunday. Bye.